Everyone, welcome to KindaSound Radio, and so pleased to be back with the new Unity show.
Hello, everyone. It's exciting.
It's so great, isn't it? I'm Giles Bryant, and I'm alongside.
And I'm Juliette Bryant.
With the very beautiful Juliette Bryant. And Juliette, we have got an exciting show today because we're talking about your new book. Please tell us a little bit about it. It's going to be out for Christmas this year.
It is very exciting. It's called My Journey with 7 Magical Mushrooms. So it's really exciting. And I really wanted to do this because the mushrooms have really helped me and my family and so many clients in so many incredible ways. Helped with well-being, mental health, it's so many things. And so it's really, I felt the earth, the mycelium calling me to do this for a while, so it's finally coming together.
Now, Juliette, you are known in some quarters as the Mushroom Lady. Sometimes when you turn up at events, they'll say, "Oh, the Mushroom Lady's here." And as multimedia, KindaSound, look, we're taking KindaSound into the multimedia world. We'd like to give a big shout out to Hugh Gallagher, the founder of KindaSound, for supporting this. So, as well as listening to this on whatever is your favourite podcast platform, you might also be watching this, and if you are, then I'm blowing you a big kiss.
Then you can see the mushrooms on my jumper.
Yeah, that's it. And the mushrooms are going to be appearing throughout the session. I will describe them.
They're going to be floating in the air.
I don't know if you remember, Juliette, the classic. It was when snooker was put on. It was still black and white, and Ted Lowe, the whispering Ted Lowe, and he said, "And for those of you watching in black and white, the green ball is next to the blue ball."
Which I couldn't see anyway.
So it's a bit of a joke. Anyway, so Juliette, you're the Mushroom Lady. You're a superfood alchemist. You're obviously the author of 3 books, and this is going to be your 4th book, which is really exciting. Your journey with 7 magical mushrooms. Now, before we get into it any further, right? I've got a bit of paper here. I've done a bit of research, people, for her new book. These are the mushrooms, Juliette. So we're just gonna, if I just say the mushroom and then your subheading, and then maybe you could just say a little bit about it.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, so she's got 7 magical mushrooms, everyone. All right, and you could have there's so many, obviously.
So many.
Probably like millions, I don't know.
But these are probably the ones I use the most. I use the most for myself with clients. There's a few more other ones that I use quite a lot that aren't on this list, but these are probably the most, I would say, powerful medicinal mushrooms when we're looking at mushrooms, and also the most powerful magical mushrooms. Not all psychoactive, but a couple of them are. But magical in many ways, in their health benefits, in what they do to connect us into the world around us. The exciting thing about mushrooms is there's thousands of years of anecdotal evidence that shows how incredible the mushrooms are. They've been used. There's writings about the mushrooms going back to 618 AD. So it shows that there's such a huge, vast history of working with these.
That's right. I mean, it might even go back further, to be honest, into some of the old Chinese law of. We got evidence of thousands and thousands of years, isn't it, that they've been used from by cultures all over the world as well. It wasn't just the Chinese, or it wasn't just the Russians, or it wasn't just the Druids. It seems that
the Japanese had a lot of culture around the mushrooms as well.
Yeah, and people in Central America.
Yeah.
North America, it just absolutely, no doubt in Africa as well. So should we go through these 7, because you've got a fascinating way that this book is being put together. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be a bestseller, I think. A not on Amazon bestseller. Should we try and do that? A KindaSound Radio bestseller. How about that, Hugh? We start a publishing company. Anyway, let's go through it, Juliette. This is the 7 magical mushrooms, all right? And there's so much to share, but we're just going to touch on some of this today for you. Number 1, chaga, the king of mushrooms.
So one of the interesting things about chaga is there was a book written in 1927 called The Cancer Cure, and it was written by a Siberian doctor. And now this Siberian doctor, fascinating information, he had 2 sets of clients, the really wealthy people and the more of the peasants. And the wealthy people had a lot of cancer, huge rates of cancer at that time. and the peasants didn't have any, and he couldn't understand why there was this strange anomaly to him of the cancer in the same geographical area. So he started to analyse, well, what are they doing differently? What's going on with these two different sets of people? And what he found was that the wealthy people were drinking their black tea, and the peasants couldn't afford the black tea. So the peasants were making their own black tea, and this was being made from chaga mushrooms. So what he did was he started to look at the chaga mushroom. Well, what's this got in it that is potentially preventing the cancer from coming into these people? So then he started working with the chaga with the people who had cancer, and also with the wealthy people who didn't have cancer. Cancer rates hugely declined in the area, and science now shows that chaga mushroom contains something called beta glucans, which have been shown to destroy cancer cells. So this is fascinating stuff that's been being talked about since 1927.
Yeah. Now, Juliet, when we're talking about these mushrooms here, most of the mushrooms, your magical mushrooms, actually grow on trees. Now, they say that money doesn't grow on trees, but a lot does that is extremely valuable. And when we go back to the ancient times of the Chinese emperors, at one time, the chaga has got lots of different names, hasn't it? They used to call it the king of immortality, and it was only the emperor. You were only allowed to collect chaga for the emperor or the emperor's family, because they were so into their longevity. The feng shui and the qigong and all these practices that they had. But it grows, doesn't it? It just grows on trees. Not so much where we are here in sunny Suffolk.
No, it grows more in northern climes. And interestingly, it was very similar with the Chinese emperors and rishi. There was a very similar thing that only the kind of royalty could go and collect the rishi as well, which is another incredible mushroom. So, chaga has many, many properties, as do all of these. And that's what we're going to be going into in the book, some of the key medicinal points and also the key antidotal evidence that is there for all of these mushrooms.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? And stories, folklore, mythology, scientific studies, all the different names as well that these mushrooms have been called in the past. Any other names that come to mind for the chaga? What do they used to call that?
I can't remember.
Well, it's just the king, isn't it? It's like the king. But also, it's fascinating how there's this symbiosis between the chaga and the birch tree that it often grows on, and the healing properties in the birch that the chaga brings out.
Chaga only grows on birch trees.
Yes.
And it's said that the chaga starts to grow up from the moment that tree starts to grow. The chaga is in there. So the chaga grows, and it's kind of like a cancerous growth on the tree.
Golly.
So it actually does shorten the lifespan of the tree, but not by a huge amount. But it's interesting, isn't it? Things grow in the way that they can also help the world. So it grows like a growth on the birch tree, and one of its main things that it's amazing for is this reduction of growths in us.
It's fascinating, isn't it? They used to call that the doctrine of signatures. So you eat a walnut, and a walnut looks like the brain, and the walnut's good for the brain. They just used to think, oh, dopey people in the Middle Ages. What were they doing? But of course, it's found out now the walnut's high in the omega-3 fats and good for the brain. And I wonder what asparagus is good for. Anyway, let's move on. Chapter 2, Juliet. The reishi mushroom. They call it the queen of immortality.
Now this is a beautiful type of reishi. This is known as an artist bracket. And then we've got the other reishi mushroom. This is a red reishi.
I mean, just to describe this, it just looks like Freddy Krueger's fingers, doesn't
seaweed.
it? And the other one's like a flying
big
saucer.
Yeah. So the reishi mushroom is also known as the soul mushroom.
Ooh.
That's one of its names because it's said to connect us into our soul's purpose. That was one of the beliefs of the Chinese, that it connects us more deeply into why we're here. Reishi mushroom is also known as the queen of immortality. Reishi has got so many different names to it. Reishi mushroom, really, when we look at it, it is used in so many different ways, and it's an amazing thing because it's a tonic mushroom, so you can have it all the time. it reduces stress in the body. It's very good for anxiety. It's good for depression. It's good for hormone balancing. You know, it's a very general all-rounder when we're looking at its effects on our health and well-being.
Yeah, just to back up a little bit, Juliet. I mean, your saying for Juliet's Kitchen is "Let delicious food be your medicine," and of course, you're paraphrasing Hippocrates, who all medical doctors should listen to a little bit more, in my opinion. First of all, the dictum of a medicine is do no harm. Well, let's have a look at that. But let food be your medicine, and medicine be your food. Okay, so in our research, you know, we're doing a lot of research for this book that you're writing right now, and I came across it when David Wolfe was talking about these things, and he said we need to have medicine as our food. Let medicine be your food, and what that means is the super herbs, the super tonics, the super foods that you can have on a regular basis, on a daily basis as food. And David Wolfe, who, you know, a hero of ours, says that the medicinal mushrooms are at the very peak of these super herbs and tonics. And we have them every day, don't we?
Oh, in so many forms. I mean, you know, generally we start our day with the all-you-need superfoods, and this has got reishi, it's got chaga, it's got turkey tails and lion's mane mushroom. So it's got a great combination of mushrooms. I then, in my cacao, ceremonial cacao, I'll put my double-strength medicinal mushroom tincture. The kids get that in their water bottle to go to school with. So that's kind of infusing everything. You know, then we'll have some awaken potentially, which is another drink mix that I make, which has got medicinal mushrooms. It's like a coffee alternative made from mushrooms. So, you know, we're consuming mushrooms a lot. And one of the things I wanted to say about these mushrooms, you know, these mushrooms like the reishi, the artist bracket, or the red reishi, are not edible mushrooms. So most of the mushrooms in this book, apart from lion's mane, are not edible. They are medicinal, so they have to be extracted through heat or through alcohol. We have to have some kind of extraction process because they aren't, so you'll see in books, not edible, but that doesn't mean we can't work with them and use them.
Wonderful. Well, Juliet, let's move on because we don't want to give the whole book away, do we? I'll tell you what, the other thing, just one quickly, the reishi mushroom, the magic mushroom of the bedroom.
You like that, don't you?
Ladies, just okay, ladies. So you want to get a bit of magic in your bedroom, all right? There we go. Number 3, turkey tails mushroom. Now, turkey tails is not like a tail of a turkey. It's actually a mushroom. The mushroom by the riverbank, I think, was what the Japanese called this one, Juliet. Tell us a little bit about this one.
So
one of your favourites, isn't it?
I love turkey tails. In the UK where we are, you can find this very easily on a lot of dead wood. That's generally, you can find it on some living wood, but generally you'll find it on dead wood, on logs, and it is incredible. It looks beautiful. It's like this beautiful velvety fanfare that spreads out. And
look at turkey's tail.
And what's so incredible is you can get it in amazing colours as well. It can be very vibrant in its colours when it's fresh. It's quite special. What's interesting is turkey tails, again, has been shown to be highly anti-cancerous, and that is an amazing thing. So when we look at turkey tails as well, digestive health, immune support, really, really amazing for those things.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, it's just brilliant. And there's so much research that we're digging into. The exciting thing about this is that we both have, I mean, you more than me, but we both have decades of research on superfoods and health behind us. But I mean, we're just learning so much. I'm putting it all in this book. It's just absolutely fascinating. So we're going to say, I'm going to say another one of your favourites. You've got some of those fresh recently, didn't you?
Oh, it's amazing.
It is number 4. It's the lion's mane. Now, again, it's not a lion's mane. It's a lion's mane mushroom. This is known as the brain mushroom.
Yeah, it's also known as the bearded hedgehog. That's another one of its names, or the cloud mushroom. So it's got quite a few different names, this one, and it's a beautiful looking one. It looks like a hedgehog. Hedgehog mushroom is another name of it, and it's a white mushroom that can be eaten. So this is edible, and you can slice it up. I cooked it the other day. I sautéed it with some oil, tamari, ginger, garlic, chili, maple syrup, and it was magical in its taste.
This one, Julia, is when we're on the stall, this is what most people come and say. They says, "Oh, I've heard about lion's mane," and I think this is because of the repair that it can bring about to the nervous system, and also the repair to the brain.
Yeah, the support,
cognitive function.
The support for cognitive function. Lion's mane contains it helps us produce nerve growth factor, so it's really helping support our neural pathways in the brain. A lot of research going into its use for MS, for Parkinson's, for Alzheimer's. So it's a very, very good one for cognitive function, and also for menopausal hormonal support, to support that brain fog that happens from that kind of change in hormones.
What is exciting is that when you study about these mushrooms, you read about this use for thousands of years, like the Japanese have used them for example, or the Koreans have used these mushrooms for literally thousands of years. But then the modern scientific research, which there's decades of, and you each mushroom, you look at 5 studies, don't you, and the effects that it's really exciting, because some people won't believe it until there's a peer-reviewed scientific study about something. Chapter 5, Juliet, is cordyceps, and we call that the Energizer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Juliet's made a new tincture for men called Stallion Power. All right, so you're gonna, is it on the website yet? Might be.
Not yet.
It will be by the time this is broadcast, I hope. JulietteBryant.com, Stallion Power. All I'll say is just a tincture of that in your mouth. Put it straight in. You could have it in water, but I go straight in, baby.
Straight in is best, under
straight
the tongue.
In, as you say.
Let it absorb.
Straight in like a stallion. And my God,
we were trialling it over the weekend at this event, and I was giving a lot of people samples of it. And there's a woman's version, which is Goddess Vitality. That's got the lion's mane, not the cordyceps. The male one has the cordyceps.
Right. Okay.
Now, cordyceps has been used for fertility support for a long time. So really, really beneficial when it comes to supporting our hormones and our fertility levels. A lot of people are very scared about cordyceps because it was in a Netflix series recently. I'm not sure what it was called, but the cordyceps is a real parasite. It literally grows through bugs. It's a little bit scary. You can grow it through wood as well, but in nature it's scary looking.
But most cordyceps that you will buy is just
what you buy is not through
wild.
Animals.
No.
No, so all of these mushrooms and our products are all vegan, and don't hurt any animals.
No, no animals were harmed during the making of our products. Okay.
So when we look at cordyceps, it is this energizer. It's really good for endurance and that vitality and bringing that about.
Absolutely. Well, 2 more this is a brief show, ladies and gentlemen, because I think we're going to come back for part 2, aren't we?
Definitely.
Go a bit more in depth, but we just wanted to give a little bit of taster on this oneness show. Juliet,
Unity.
Is it Unity? I'm making up new shows. The oneness shows.
That's the next one.
That's the one later on in the bedroom. Anyway, moving on, it's that cordyceps Stallion Power.
Moving on.
It is true, though. Let's look at number 6. It's the Liberty Cap mushroom. And this is known famously as the magic mushroom. So, Juliet, tell us about this.
I mean, and I first experienced this when I was a teenager living in Florida, and enjoyed experiencing the multi-dimensional journeys that it took me on. When we look at the research for this mushroom, the Liberty Cap, and its component, the psilocybin, which comes from it, and also from other mushrooms, wide use of it in the Mesoamerican time, and its use, its belief of us, connecting us more deeply to ourselves and to our place in nature. In more recent times, in the 60s and 70s, a lot of clinical research was being done on its effects for OCD, anxiety, depression, PTSD. Unfortunately, at that point, it was then made illegal. It was turned into a Class A drug. We're not condoning the use of any illegal substances on this show. May I just add, what we're looking at is the research, and the current research now that is coming back in places where it has been decriminalised, and also places like UCL in London, doing incredible research on its effects on mental health with no side effects. And this is such an incredible thing that they're finding, that the psilocybin doesn't cause negative effects, but is massively transforming the mental health world.
Yeah. So what we're going to say again there is that we're not saying, I'll just go and take loads of mushrooms and go on a trip. These things have been done in therapeutic settings. Uh, these larger doses in therapeutic sessions, and also the practice of the microdosing of these mushrooms, which is a fascinating subject. We'll get more into it in another show. And the last chapter, Juliet, is the fly agaric. Now you'll all know this because this is known as the fairy tale mushroom. It's the red and white toadstool, isn't it?
Or even the Father Christmas mushroom. There's lots of links
flying, wasn't he,
to believing that the Father Christmas story comes from Siberia, from the fly agaric mushroom, the red and white of Father Christmas.
Now we're just going to say here, highly toxic.
Yep.
Do not go out and pick this mushroom and consume it fresh or prepare it in any way. No. This is, don't mess with this.
One of the interesting things is the research that comes from Siberia on this mushroom and its links to pain. And one of the things that they've found when studying this, the muscimol is the property within it that really has this effect, is it goes in and it can release trauma from the fascia of the body. So very, very good for things like sciatica. Incredible research really coming out of this. Also links to its effects on neuroplasticity. So again, supporting brain health. Its links to depression, to reducing depression, to supporting sleep, so anxiety reduction. Again, this is looking at this in the microdose as opposed to the macro, because again with this mushroom, as Giles said, it is highly toxic and can kill you. So you do have to be very, very careful. But this is what the research is showing, that in these microdose prepared in the right way, it's having incredible therapeutic effects.
Yeah, and also when it's used topically, you don't have these psychoactive properties, but you also have some of these pain relieving and incredible healing properties, which is absolutely fascinating. Juliet, your journey through 7 magical mushrooms is going to be available for Christmas. JulietteBryant.com. We're so excited about it. It's just fascinating doing all the research. It's fascinating working with you in the production of it. So we're so excited about it, and I hope this show has given you some insights, because it really does help you take you into the unity consciousness. The mushrooms are from the earth. The mycelium is all around the planet. It is unity consciousness. So when we consume these functional mushrooms, these medicinal mushrooms in a safe way, they can be so effective for our health, for our well-being, for our transformation, our connection to the earth, our inner peace, and our connection to one another. So well done, Juliet. Again, a pioneer. Well, that's it for our show for today. Keep it KindaSound Radio. Keep searching on your favourite podcast provider, KindaSound Radio. And you're going to see so many shows. We've got shows coming out now virtually every day, which is so exciting. Incredible guests. They're all lining up to come on KindaSound Radio, because that is the place to be. So we'll look forward to connecting with you soon. Take care.